Hey, baby. Greetings, everyone. This is Salad Cream Boy talking. My name's Nigel Mayo. That's the reason why it's called Salad Cream Boy. And I bring you weekly content on mental well-being. Now, obviously, today is going to be about emotional support animals and what benefits are, um, what they're about, and how to register them, and all that kind of good stuff. The importance of this live stream is the fact that I want to do a Q&A because ESAs, it's a video that I've done twice now and it's got the most traction on my channel. So I've been having a few questions and I thought I'd give the audience a chance to actually do something live with me and so I can actually answer. So what I would ask is if anyone could put in the chat the questions. And also, right now, can I just get some kind of feedback if you can hear me? I just need to know if anyone can hear me right now. Okay. Right, so this is Ghost, my rabbit. He doesn't really like being picked up much. That's not necessarily all rabbits are going to be like that. But I thought that, again, as it's live, I'd give you a little bit of a treat because I have mentioned him from time to time. And he is my world. So, yep, this is Ghost. He is 2.5 years old. And yeah, he is my emotional support animal. I have had him for pretty much all his life since he was about 5 weeks old. Um, he was given to me in this unfortunate situation where he had to be given up just for his safety. Um, the person who gave Ghost to me will know what that means. Not necessarily a bad thing on their part, um, just needed protecting. And honestly, I can't think of a time where he hasn't been with me, and I could never, ever, ever give him up. Okay, except for maybe right now because he wants to get down. Is that right? Okay. Um, yeah. So just so you know, the flat that I live in right now, it doesn't actually allow pets, but I was able to strike a deal with the landlord, um, mainly by mentioning the fact that he is my emotional support animal. He let me have him. I will get into that in a bit. He's actually getting a little bit stressed right now, so I'm just going to let him down. So just be a second. Okay. Good boy. And I'm now covered in fur. Thank God I've got my trusty lint roller. Okay. Now, let's get this live stream started. So, let's see. Yeah, so if you find me for the first time, this channel is devoted to bringing you weekly content on your mental health and mental well-being and anything I can do to support that. I try to bring you things which you may not necessarily think of straight away or things that you may not have been a thing, like, for example, ASMR. Who knew that would help out mental health and various other things. I've worked in the NHS as part of my background for the past 4.5 years. Now, this is as a receptionist, so I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist or anything like that. However, my experience has given me a little bit of insight to the kind of services that people may or may not know about. The place that I work has this great website where it has loads of stuff about different information, numbers you can call, all that stuff. I mean, it's public knowledge. I'm not going to be telling you anything which the public doesn't know about, so it isn't this big NHS thing that they don't want you to know. But I just want to bring a little bit of knowledge to the community so that you're better able and you have the tools that you need and the information that you need to be able to go to different places where normally you may have just gone to see a doctor, you may have just done this that, and the other, and you would have had no idea that these things existed. So that's one of the things I do. One of the one of those things is an emotional support animal, otherwise known as an ESA. So what I'm going to do first, before I can get to any questions, and just so you know, this is a really small channel, so I'm not really expecting any questions. If I do get any, it's a huge bonus. So hopefully, in what I'm about to talk about now, I do answer pretty much most, if not all, your questions. And if anyone joins the stream, or if you're watching this after the stream, please put into the comments, and I will answer them. I usually take up to 24 hours, but I'm in certain circumstances right now where um, I've actually worked it out that I can pretty much do it live, unless I'm asleep or eating or out or something. I will get back to you pretty quickly. Right. So, subject at hand, emotional support animals. So, I just want to put out a little disclaimer there, and I do apologize if there's a bit of wobbliness on the phone there. It's actually sitting on an ironing board, so had to improvise a bit. So anyway, disclaimer: I don't endorse specifically getting an animal, a pet, just so you can have them as an emotional support animal, purely because I know it might be a bit dramatical, but it's kind of the same as a child. Um, my little animal, my little rabbit, as you just saw there, unless you've just joined, he is my world. He is pretty much like a child to me. I'm not a father. I don't actually have any children, and to have a pet like this, it is the same kind of thing. And rabbits, like all animals, have emotions. They get scared. They be in pain. They get lonely. Rabbits are really sociable creatures, so they usually need some kind of entity by them, whether it be another rabbit, cat, guinea pig, or even human. They need someone with them. So it isn't, and I'm not just talking about rabbits. Emotional support animals can be any animal that you like. But my point is that they're living, they're sentient, and please use some respect. Give them give them the dignity and the respect they deserve. I also don't endorse the fact that to get a pet like this, to register as an ESA, just to use the benefits of it. So if you are going to have your pet as an ESA, either the best case scenario is that you've already got your pet, you just found out about this kind of facility, and you've decided, okay, I'm going to make a pet one, or you've already thinking about getting a pet and you're in the process of getting one, and you just happen to know about this. I wouldn't get one specifically for it, with the exception of if you absolutely know that you're going to be able to give your 100% support to that animal, that you're definitely going to be able to provide for it, and it's not going away anytime soon. Because what does tend to happen is people find out about this kind of thing, think, oh, maybe it's not necessarily for me, not all that it's all cracked up to be, and then 6 months later down the line, gives the animal up. So yeah, if you want, again, if you want your animal to be an ESA, make sure this is absolutely what you want. If you haven't got a pet yet, okay. Sorry to labour that point, but it's absolutely essential, as I'll probably go on a little bit later in the stream. Um, but it's really important. You're dealing with life here. Anyway, with all that said, so I'm going to get into stuff now. So without any further ado, let's begin, shall we? I actually get that saying from the Critical Drinker. If you want to look him up on YouTube, really great, really funny. Does movie reviews. Anyway, digressing here. So, what is an emotional support animal, or an ESA? So what I'll do is I'll say what it isn't first. Um, it's not a service animal. Service animals are there specifically for someone who has some kind of handicap, disability, whatever the word is these days. Um, an animal that is providing some kind of physical support to its owner. So whether it be a guide dog or anything like that, it's to provide some kind of actual support that they're going to benefit from. Not that emotional isn't, but you get the idea. Um, Therapy animals are different from emotional support animals. So therapy animals is specifically as some kind of therapy regime. Um, more than most, it's usually put into situations where it go someone takes it to a hospital and it's used with cancer patients who, not to be too down on this stream, but who don't really have a lot of time left, terminal diseases, all that kind of stuff, where they're going to need that emotional support. And when obviously with family members and stuff, especially when they don't have any family, um, they're bringing to the hospital, spend a few hours with them, just so they got that kind of mood boost. Because who doesn't like stroking a rabbit, cat, dog? Who doesn't love having an animal by them? I mean, honestly, I'm one of those people who goes to a party. I'm not interested in the people. I want to hang out with the cat, the dog in the corner. So yeah. So that being said, regardless of whether they're official therapies or disability, like what I've just spoken about, those type of support animals need some kind of qualifications. They need to go under certain types of tests, and they need to make sure that they're not going to harm. They're basically safe for the people that they're going to support, and also they can actually handle the situation. So they need to make sure that, for example, if they're going to be in a room with kids, regardless whether they're sick or not, or what the situation is, that they're not going to be scared off, they're not going to become violent, bite people, all that kind of stuff. There's rigorous stuff that they need to be able to prove that they're okay with their owners. So, in regards to supporting therapy animals, that's the big difference. I say that because, and I'll get to ESAs now. So ESAs do not need any of that. They don't need any qualifications whatsoever. So they don't need to be able to get you over the streets. They don't need to be able to help with your mental health. They don't need to perform any tasks. They don't need to be good with children or anything. Most likely, if you do have an emotional support animal, you do most likely you live alone, or most of the people that I know have them are in that situation. So again, there's nothing that they actually need to be able to become an emotional support animal. So that being said, one of the questions I get asked most, sorry, excuse me, get my words out. One of the questions that comes to me most is how do you register one? Regardless of whether that's in the UK, US, whatever country. There might be some countries in the world that have it completely different or don't even exist at all. But honestly, you don't need to be able to register one per se. The situation is that if you go to your doctor or your therapist and you have a pre-existing mental health condition such as anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, PTSD, anything like that, if it's actually already been diagnosed, as in not necessarily an official thing, but there is proof in your medical records that you do. So, for example, before I got Ghost made into an emotional support animal, I literally had only been to the doctors once and told them I am anxious, and they started me on medication. And as soon as that was the case, I was able to do a letter for me and say, this person needs this animal to be with them. It is essential for their mental health that they have that companionship. That is absolutely it. Now, the reason I say that is it is because there's a lot of companies out there that will say, okay, we'll get your animal registered as an emotional support animal for a price, even if it's just a penny, $100, pound, whatever. It's not official. Basically, what they're doing is giving you a nice looking piece of paper, a certification, but it doesn't actually mean anything because one, they don't know you. Two, they don't have your history. Three, they don't know anything about your mental health needs. So, how is it that they can be qualified to be able to certify your emotional support animal as an emotional support animal? You get me? So the only official way that can qualify your animal as an emotional support animal is if you have any kind of proof, like a letter from your doctor or therapist. And that is absolutely it. There is nothing else that's needed. So, with that being said, the next part here, and I just got a comment. Hi, everybody, excited to learn about emotional support animals today. Anyone else looking into getting one? And that is from Court Mail. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so just gone over the how to register one, and also I don't support the fact that you're just going to get an animal specifically for it. It's not fair on you, and it's not fair for the animal, just in case it doesn't work out. But anyway, moving on. So the benefits. So there are three main benefits from having an emotional support animal. First one is flights. So if you're going on holiday for an extended, get the words out. If you're going on holiday for an extended amount of time, and I don't mean a couple of weeks, few weeks, I mean a good amount of time, like at the very least, you're going for a month, and you absolutely need your pet there. And this isn't necessarily a case that you can't get anyone else to look after them or anything. I mean, you absolutely need them for your mental well-being and your mental health while you're in a different country or in a different place where you have to get a flight. Doesn't necessarily have to be a different country. If you're in the States, then you're going an interstate flight, then obviously that's still okay. But the point is, it's not advisable to take your animal on that kind of journey because obviously the pressure in the cabin and all that kind of stuff, it's going to distress them, especially if you're going to another country like UK to US or vice versa. I mean, that's between 6 and 8 hours. I mean, come on, really? So anyway, one of the benefits is the fact that you can get them onto the plane without any further costs. Um, this has changed in certain places. I'll get into that in just a bit. Um, but yeah, you can have them in the cabin. So the second one is you can take them into certain stores that allows animals. So a lot of stores let dogs in anyway, or more specifically, service dogs. If you have an emotional support animal, there are stores that allow people who allow that kind of animal, like a support animal, into the stores where normally they wouldn't be allowed to. Again, you just need to take along that letter from the doctor, therapist, anyone like that, and should be good. And the third one is tenancy. Now, this is a bit of grey area, but how it started off was that it wouldn't be legal for a landlord to just absolutely say no to you and your animal if they're an emotional support animal, because the point is you need emotional support, and otherwise you wouldn't be able to find a place to live if everyone just turns them down. Obviously, there are places that allow pets. Again, there's a little bit of a clause with that as well, um, but it just wouldn't be right to do that. So any motion support animals are most likely let into a tenancy where animals are not allowed. And just so you know, the place that I live right now, where I'm with Ghost, my rabbit, this is a place where when we read the tenancy agreement, bear in mind on the actual advert, it didn't really say that it wasn't allowed pets, but on the tenancy agreement it does. Now we negotiated, told them about what Ghost was about, and they agreed just as long as it doesn't, the animal doesn't cause any damage, and that it's okay with the other. Sorry, the other tenants don't need to know in the building, but just as long as it doesn't cause any distress to them, like it causes a lot of noise or anything that's going to keep them up at night, and we should be golden. So the point is that if you have an animal where they're not normally let, what the landlord is mostly concerned about is it going to cost me money? Is it going to be more trouble than it's worth? So if you can negotiate it, and again, depending on the type of animal, I don't think I would have got away with a dog here. But rabbit, because they don't actually make sound other than running about, they're fine. And they're not that hairy, so they don't actually make that much noise. At least I haven't had any complaints in the few months I've been at the place I have now. So, again, just to recover that, so flights, stores, tenancy agreements. If you would like any more in-depth information on emotional support animals for the USA, there is a channel on YouTube that I really highly suggest that you look into. It's called Lennon the Bunny, and they have an emotional support animal video on there. It's from 3 years ago, but I believe the laws still stand as it was then. You just need to go and look at that video. So what I did in YouTube, I just put Lennon ESA, or emotional support animal, and it's the first one that comes up. It should be a black rabbit with the owner, who's called Lorelei Woman in there. So if you're in the US, I highly recommend you watch that video, because the laws are different in the UK. So now that I've gone over the benefits and how you register one, I'm going to get into what the situation is in the UK. So it is a bit weird, and unfortunately, there is no legal standing with emotional support animals in the UK. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't mean anything. What I mean by that is that just as long as you have that letter from your doctor, from your therapist, or whoever's giving you that letter to say that they absolutely have to be in your life and you need them as a companion, even though it's not law, most, and I do mean most, will be forgiving, and they'll be understanding about it. Like I said just before, this place that I live in now doesn't allow pets, but because Ghost is an ESA and we explained the situation to them, they allowed it. And luckily, there's been no trouble, not that Ghost would create any. It's been fine. Now, what I would also recommend is, now obviously there are still a lot of tenancies that allow pets. So if you're going to rent a place, you can still take your dog, cat, rabbit, whoever. Now, if you're in a situation like myself where you're in a place and you absolutely have to leave that tenancy, uh, because I don't know, you've been evicted, or whether the living circumstances aren't great. The reason I left my place, the last place I was at with the other estate agents, the absolute last place is because the owner wanted his flat back because of COVID. They needed that place to stay again. They couldn't be anywhere else. The place before that, the noise, drilling, and all that, it wasn't suitable for having an animal there. It would just cause them hell, and I couldn't sleep or have a look inside that. So the point I'm trying to get to is, if again you're trying to explain that situation where you have tried to go to somewhere with pets and it's no luck and you absolutely have to have them, they're more lenient in that way, and it would vote in your favour. So what I would say with tenancy agreements in regard to ESAs is that, yeah, it's not law, but all is not lost. And I wouldn't even say it's a 50-50. The tendencies are usually quite good. I'm not just going on myself. I've actually been in contact with a few other people in various mental health groups where it's been a thing where they've been fine. So I wouldn't just, if you are trying to look for a new place to live, don't just, if you really like a place and it's affordable and all that, don't just look away from it. Have a conversation with the landlord if you can, or the estate agents, and see what they can do. Okay. So, getting on to shops. Again, it's perfectly, mostly acceptable to take them in. I've been to, I mean, pet stores are obviously fine, but I've been into a couple of grocery shops right now, the bigger ones, and to be honest, especially when you're going away on holiday and stuff, and you're like visiting here with your animal, it's more likely they'll be able to be okay with it. Because chances are you're going to be in a hotel and you want to be able to take an animal out. So in those circumstances, usually it's absolutely fine. What I would say about that though is, again, this is going to go along the lines of what my disclaimer was earlier. I wouldn't just, you see, one of the reasons why it isn't officially legal in the UK, a legal by law thing in the UK to have an emotional support animal, is the fact that the rules have been abused a lot. So I'll give you an example. You're going to go on holiday for a few weeks and you know you're going to, I don't know, you go by yourself or something to get away and you really need your pet to be there with you. It would be understandable to take dog, small dog, blind dog, cat, rabbits. Obviously, you're going to have to look at the airline to see what would allow what pets anyway. Um, but when it gets to the point where there's a guy that bought a mini horse. Someone bought a peacock through a through an airport. And if anyone has ever seen the movie The Other Guys, there's a phrase in there, "I'm a peacock, you gotta let me fly." I don't think that's what they meant by that. So when it just got to that kind of situation where the type of animal was just getting more and more, I don't know what the best word for this is, but it's taking the P, to be honest with you. And to be fair, if I get turned down from absolutely every airline, but I need to get away for a bit, I will do my best to try and find a friend. And there are services available that will keep your pet, regardless of what animal they are, and they'll be able to have them for a few weeks. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's like having a disability badge to get free parking or get into the disabled spaces when you're not actually that you sorry not actually that disabled, when you're not the disabled one, for example, but you've got a family member who is, so you take the disabled badge out with you so you can get that space. Slightly different situation, but not so much. So it wouldn't be expected to take your emotional support animal into the local grocery store every single week, for example. It's not the point of that type of animal. If you have an impairment and you need them, fine. But you wouldn't be expect. I mean, for example, if I went down to Tesco down the road, or Asda, or if I was in the States, Walmart or Target or something, which was down the road, and I took them to do my weekly shop, I wouldn't be expected to take my rabbit with me. I mean, come on. So yeah, all is not lost, and if you can get your rabbit, sorry, if you can get your animal to be an emotional support animal, the thing is, there are certain what do you call them? There are certain forms you can fill in with signatures. I forget what it's actually called now. I should have wrote it down. But what I will say is, if you go to my channel, if you look up the video I have on emotional support animals in the UK, in the UK update, which I did this year. I believe it is around about April, March, I think. If you look that up, in the description of that video, there will be a form that it will have a link for. Say, put your signature down, and we need this to start happening. Because emotional support animals, they do have a lot more rights in other countries like the USA, and I don't think it's fair that, especially when 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people have a mental illness or a mental health struggle, it's something that the awareness needs to be a bit more raised. So, how are we doing for time? It's been about half an hour. Okay. What I'll ask is anyone that's watching at the moment, if you have any questions, I will put them down now. Because what I'm going to do a very, very quick bullet point recap on what I just talked about. So this will probably last a few more minutes, and then I'll be up here. Okay. So what is an ESA? Basically, it's not a therapy animal. It's not a services animal. It doesn't need any specific qualifications for it like the other ones, and they don't need any kind of tests. It's literally your pet that's already your companion, and just making sure that it has certain rights where they wouldn't necessarily have any. So all you'd need, the next question would be to register them. You'd literally need a letter or some kind of document from your doctor or your therapist to say that you've got a pre-existing mental health concern, and it will be massively beneficial to have the animal with you. There isn't any official, even in the US, there isn't an official registry kind of thing that you need to do. Just need that form, because what happens is you get various companies which will charge you for the service who don't know you and have absolutely no right to do that, and they're just taking advantage. So again, to recap the benefits, the three main ones are getting on flights where you don't necessarily have to pay a charge, or if you do, it won't be to the amount that you would be normally, and you can take them in the cabin. You can have them in shops where you wouldn't normally have them in, but again, I wouldn't take advantage of that too much. Tenancy, it's more likely that if they're in the ESA, especially in UK, that the landlord will be able to let you have them there, because who would say no to that? So all is not lost if you're in UK. All I'm saying is it's just not official law, but still try if it's a genuine case. So yeah, I think that's all covered. So I haven't had any questions on here, but that being said, not really. That's okay. If you're watching this, that's if you're watching this after the live stream, please pop a comment down, and I will answer it in good time. Usually the same day that you put the comments on, so you wouldn't be waiting. Okay. Any more issues, questions, comments, please leave them. If you got any value from this stream, if you learned something that you didn't know before, if it's completely new for you, whatever the reason, please, 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 it would mean so much if you just hit that like button or smash it, as the case may be. And also subscribe to this channel if you want any further advice on mental well-being, mental health, and anything that might help you in general in this area. The last thing which I just want to mention is that I have just now opened a merch store, and you can have a look on any of my recent videos. It's been powered by Spreadshop, and I've got t-shirts such as this one. I'm going to have to update the logo on it to the one that I've just put on this week. But it's got stuff like when I say at the end of my videos, at the end of the day, it gets dark. It's got stuff on that, and I'm trying to get a few more things out on there. But yeah, If you want to support the channel so I can bring you better content, more helpful content probably, please, at the very least, have a look at it. Even if you don't buy anything, it's there, and spread the word. But yeah, I just want to say sincerely, thank you so much to Spreadshop for facilitating it. If anyone watching is actually a YouTube content creator, it's a great place where you just literally create an account, send your designs, create the actual shop, and that is it. It's completely free. They do all the work, customer service, making, packaging, all the rest. You do absolutely nothing but send designs. Okay? And all you need to do then is watch the money roll in. But yeah, thank you to Spreadshop. They're not sponsoring me, by the way, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them. Meant to do it at the start. So, if there are no other questions, can't see that there are. Yeah, have a great day, because it's like I always say, at the end of the day, it gets dark. See you guys.